Pods and a Peacast. The two texts that I have chosen are Sea Urchin by Chang Li and Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. They both share the theme of culture and society. The theme of culture and society is about being accepted and understanding the differences in beliefs. Culture is where you are from and defines what you do. Culture is important because it sets basic rules and basic behavior. Society is the community that you are close to or live in. Society sets the example of the norm and what is and is not accepted. The short story Sea Urchin is about the author's return to Korea. The author, Chang Li, was age 15 and returned to Korea for the first time since the first time he had left 12 years earlier. When he arrives at Seoul, Korea, he does not know if anything has changed, and neither does his parents. Everything is new and different to him, and he does not understand the culture. The literary work Romeo and Juliet is about two star-crossed lovers, Romeo and Juliet, as its title suggests, that cannot be with each other. The reason is that they are from rival families, Montague and Capulet respectively. The reason I chose Chang Li's Sea Urchin was because that was how I felt when I first came back to Korea. I was a Korean who did not know nor understand the Korean dialect. I was considered an outsider, much like Chang Li. I chose a literary work by William Shakespeare known as Romeo and Juliet because it has many themes, and each theme that is applied has a lot of depth, aspect, and meaning. In Romeo and Juliet, the theme of culture and society was dealt with when Romeo and Juliet fell in love. This is shown in line 6. A pair of star-crossed lovers take their life. That was when the beginning of the solution starts. But part of the solution is Romeo and Juliet dying for each other. This is shown in 9, 10, and 11. The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which, but their children's end, naught could remove. So the solution for Romeo and Juliet's undying love was to die together and live happily ever after. In Chang Li's Sea Urchin, he dealt with the theme of society and culture by at first tasting a live sea urchin, raw and uncooked. Although he threw up later, he found that he must eat it to be accepted to the culture and society. He went back the next day and goes to the same lady. The lady immediately knows that he wants a sea urchin. His solution to the problem was to try the sea urchin again. Although he threw up, he decided to eat the sea urchin again to prove that he was also part of the same culture. There are many things to compare when looking at these literary works. The most noticeable thing is that there is a solution to each problem. In Sea Urchin, Chang Li eats sea urchins and gets sick. Later, he eats the sea urchin again and is fine and conquers this sickness. In Romeo and Juliet overcome the grudge between the two families and are united by love. Although they die in the end, they are together and truly happy for some time. Another noticeable similarity is that in both stories, the main characters are doing something that is not considered normal. In Sea Urchin, Chang eats the sea urchin again, even though he gets sick and throws up. This is not considered the norm. This is considered very different and weird because most people, if not all, do not eat anything that has made them sick before, for they find it very revolting. In Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare, The two lovers are not allowed to meet because they are from rival families, but they meet up with each other anyway. This is also considered very different because children in the early 14th century did not rebel against their parents. Along with these similarities, there are differences. For everything that has similarities has differences. These differences are much harder to find than the similarities. The most obvious difference was the way the main characters solved their problems. In Romeo and Juliet solved their love problem by going against their family rivalries to be together. They decided love was more important than an ancient grudge they did not even understand. In Chang Rei Li's story, he solved his seafood sickness and cultural differences by going by himself and eating the sea urchin. Doing this, he overcomes being an outsider and his sickness of seafood. Another difference was the aspect of which the theme was shown. In the short story Sea Urchin, there was more of a cultural shock aspect. This is because Chang Ne was going back to a country of which he was from, yet he did not know the culture and society. He was unsure of what the norm was in Korea. In Romeo and Juliet, it is more of a love story. Thus, it shows the love aspect, or the romantic side of the theme of culture and society. The theme is dealt more in the poem Romeo and Juliet because it is more serious. The two lovers are in extreme love, but being in rival families, Montague and Capulet, they are not allowed to meet with each other. The head of each family believes that they are the better family, but the two lovers, Romeo and Juliet, Montague and Capulet respectively, do not believe so, and they end up dying for each other. This is why the poem Romeo and Juliet has more of the theme culture and society in it.